Hi, my name is Soile, and you're listening to Heart to Heartland, a fan podcast from a fan perspective. Welcome back to the podcast, or if you're new here, welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about the 6th episode of Heartland Season 19. So if you haven't seen that or don't want to get spoiled, this episode is not for you. Let's jump into your comments. When I was watching this episode, something just seemed off throughout the whole thing. I don't know if it was just me, but it felt like the dialogue was very fast, like Gilmore Girl fast, which is not Heartland like at all. There's usually more time to process what's been said, but I felt like they had to try to cram a lot of dialogue into those 40 something minutes, and it just came out sounding foreign. But then at times the pacing was there, especially with Sean and Spencer, who typically take time with their lines to really feel what their character is feeling. It's especially strange because this episode was directed by Dean Bennett, who is basically like the dad of the show, I think. So I could have easily pinned the strangeness to a new director's style, but I don't think I necessarily can in this case. So I wondered, was it the script? Sometimes, but it didn't bother me as much as the pacing. I don't know if that is just me. Like, let me know if you sense that as well. Like the early scene at Maggie's where Logan bumps into Miley and then talks with Lou after they've exchanged a few words. It felt like there was way too much explaining. It just felt kind of strange that Lou would explain all those things about Miley to Logan when she must know the things didn't end well with them. I understand it offers Logan the information he needs later on to feel the way he feels, but it always feels a little off when something is spoon-fed to the audience like that. I also didn't like how Lou just appeared out of nowhere all of a sudden because she was gone last episode, whereas Lisa has gone missing in return. It is really frustrating how little they care about explaining these things in a dialogue. Like, just simple, like, oh, I was in Vancouver with Peter or whatever. Like, that's it. Like, that's all it takes. I still don't think this was the most exciting episode for me, at least. Like, it was pretty predictable that everything went well with Katie, Miley, and even Logan. And I get that it's the feel-good style the show has, and like, clearly they have other visions for what's going to happen next, and they don't need any extra trauma from the rodeo itself. So for all of them to succeed was probably just easiest. But it still bothers me that they can't even do okay-ish, like say Miley was second or something like that, instead of having like the fastest time of the night. That being said, I did like the night at the rodeo setting as it's something we've never seen before, and I think it was done well, especially because you could see the different angles to the whole thing, like the signing up booth, the performance point of view, a competitor side of things, and then, of course, the audience watching it all. It almost allowed us to insert ourselves in there in a way. And now that it's been a few days and I've thought back to this episode, like everything that happened, what it all means and all that, I think it carries more weight to how the rest of the season will go down than it might appear on a first glance. But more about that later. Sharon said, first off, dishwasher being used. Caleb, grow up. His behavior is that of being in the schoolyard. Caleb's the one who is not content with what he's got. As Nathan said, you barely know me. He's judging Nathan on his perception only. Amy doesn't need Caleb to protect her. Not the way he's doing it anyway. I did love the interaction between Nathan and Lindy and how he's reassuring Lindy about Amy's injury. It shows he's compassionate. Sorry, but Caleb is becoming tiresome and annoying. Another client needing immediate attention. This wasn't how I thought Amy would redeem her reputation. I like Dex, and Jack always sees an opportunity for life lessons, and by calling Dex out was one. Without his hockey, Dex is lost, but Jack will help him find his path. I'm glad that the Flag Girls are supportive of each other. How refreshing to see a positive friendship between teenage girls. So Crazy sells the beef feed to Wes, of all people. He left quickly when Nathan arrived. I wonder if either know of Wes's history with Heartland. Crazy still evades direct questions with indirect answers. She's consistently putting Nathan in the middle, ignoring Amy, trying to poach Miley, and knowing what drama it would create for Katie, but trying to chummy up to Lou. Is this calculated or thoughtless? Lou holding her tongue, which Jack noticed and laughed at. Does he know what's really going on or typically not do anything? Gracie's still doing stuff behind Nathan's back. I thought it's a 50-50 working relationship, but apparently not. Amy telling Nathan about her suspicion was something she had to say, being open and honest. Thankfully, Nathan didn't explode, but considering the information and how he will deal with that. I loved how he took Amy off Spartan and their embrace, although I didn't like it being a long shot. Hoping Nathan finds out about Wes and how Gracie knows him if she tells him the truth. I like that not all the stories are rectified in one episode. Also, could Wes be involved with the cattle rustles in an upcoming episode? How does Crazy know him? He took off quick when Nathan arrived, and Crazy didn't really answer Nathan's question, which he seems to do a lot. Crazy said the only way to get cattle to table was by feeding them the grain. Also, she pretended not to know what the back at Nathan's feet was. Nathan said, I found it where you hit it with your lock. So, is she being calculating or thoughtless? Jack needs to talk to Gracie and to the girls about Marion and Gracie's relationship. One thing for sure, the writers have done so well with the Gracie character because of all the talk, speculation about her. As always, bring on the next episode. I thought there were a lot of good Amy and Nathan scenes in this episode. I love how playful they are with each other. I've noticed Amy likes to throw things at Nathan or shove him in a teasing manner, which I do find refreshing because it really brings her character in the flirt and the love alive. I'd say for the most part, Amy is a pretty serious character, so when she's behaving like that, you can really see Nathan's influence on her. Like, even though it's a mature relationship, it still has this playfulness to it. I was a little worried how things would go with Nathan after Amy explained her suspicions about Gracie, but Nathan being Nathan, he just needed some time to think it over, and even if he's not fully convinced, which I get, I do appreciate that he's not making Amy feel bad for considering what she's considering because he trusts that she's really weighted her options. Like, he can't be sure no matter what he feels, so he leaves a little room for Amy's suspicions as well, which I think is good in a relationship where you're supposed to be a team. As for Caleb, I was kind of like, why is he here? I guess he was in town due to work and needed a place to crash, but I would have wanted a little more dialogue around his return, saying something like, so the loft's free, Amy? I really appreciate you giving me a place to stay while all the motels in town are booked due to the rodeo or something like that. Now it just seemed like he was called for the team roping thing, even though he wasn't even involved at that point. I also don't get his continued hostility towards Nathan. I was right in saying a few episodes ago how Caleb's assuming Nathan is just another guy like him, but I still thought that he would have mellowed down a bit after the plane episode, especially seeing how happy Amy is with Nathan. And shouldn't he be more worried about his relationship with Ashley instead of focusing on Amy? I don't know that this episode necessarily needed the guys to fight in order to achieve the goal of them coming together, so to speak. The team roping could have offered a way to show Caleb that he and Nathan are not enemies, that they actually share interest and can enjoy each other's company to really seal the deal on them becoming more civil around each other. The real Teefy said, "Okay, am I the only one who got distinct chills at the expression on Crazy's face after Nathan made his sleeping with the fishes quip, reference to falling victim to a mob-style hit? Crazy looked like the cat that swallowed the canary. If not, well, I hadn't initially thought of bumping you off, little brother, but now that you mention it, what a good idea." Her patterns of behavior can no longer be explained away as being merely competitive. I think she's a psychopath, and she's only going to escalate from here. So, last episode, I was talking about my suspicions about Crazy, and it seems I might not just be paranoid after all. I don't think she's just awkward. I think she knows exactly what she's doing, especially with the sponsorship thing. I thought she was going to sponsor Logan or something, and that would create this awkward thing between Heartland Beef and Price Beef, on top of Miley and Logan's issues with each other. But I guess the flag team works since Katie is involved. Also, I know some of you caught it based on your comments, but when I was watching the scene where that guy was picking up the crane, I was like, there's something going on here that I can't really pinpoint. Like, why are they taking so much time with showing the guy's face instead of him being this random blurry guy who we can barely see if he's not supposed to be important? At first, I thought it was just Crazy's dramatic way of making a scene to show Nathan that she's doing what she says she would do, thus making him trust her more. And yeah, part of it is probably that, but when the credits rolled and I saw the name Tom Carey next to Wes, I was like, wait a minute, that's why they took their time? The fact that I even remember the actor's name after all these years was because I've been tagging him in all of my Wes-related posts on my blog for years, so I knew it wasn't just some random other Wes. I don't remember all of the guest stars' names, but some stick with me, and his name is one of them. His looks have obviously changed a bit in 17 years, but you can still look at his facial features and recognize him if you really pay attention. And so if you don't remember who Wes even is, he's the guy from season 1 and season 2 who created trouble for the Fleming Bartletts by burning down their barn for one, and then horse napping Spartan, etc. You know the guy, the first real baddie of the show. And I don't think this whole Wes thing is by accident. I don't think majority of the audience is supposed to understand who he is or his significance to the family yet. I think this will be like an Easter egg at this point for the fans who are very observant with these things. I think it's only later on that it will make sense for some of the audience, and then it'll like blow their minds. I think Wes will play a big part of the season down the line, and I think he already might play a big part in how Crazy's been behaving. Like, who's to say they weren't, say, dating back in the day or something, and Crazy knows his beef and lore with the family, which then explains her hostility towards Amy especially. Wes also has history with Spartan. Like, he tried to take Spartan away from Amy. So maybe he's ready to take down the horse in order to hurt the Fleming Bartletts. I know it's dark, but Wes is also a better scapegoat for the chaos than Crazy, because I think in true Heartland fashion, Crazy will have her moment of redemption simply because she is Nathan's sister, and it will probably be too much if she was executing all these evil plans just because she doesn't like competition. I don't think she's necessarily fully on board with whatever Wes could be plotting, but she could still help him in some ways, like getting close to Amy and Spartan and all that. She may not fully realize how far Wes is willing to go until it's already maybe a little too late. I also wonder, because I saw the synopsis for the finale, what if this all becomes so ugly that Gracie takes over the ranch, she's lost the business maybe, and then Nathan jumps into Heartland beef business because Tim has his dream. Jack is getting older. Lou can't possibly handle all of it herself. So maybe this way Nathan is able to move into Heartland and all that. Like, I don't think that's necessarily happening right now, but like, I was just thinking, like, where could this story possibly go? Like, will Gracie and Wes possibly be the end of Price Beef? Also, seeing Wes back and knowing how Lou has gone more country, I wonder if this time we will see how impressed he is with Lou's new shotgun skills, because the last time she was holding a shotgun, she wasn't sure whose name was going to be in the bullet. Smoking Holster said, "My first comment about this episode that I made to a friend was seriously not the episode I was expecting. This was and still is true, especially when my friend informed me that Tom Carey was in the character list. Was not anyone's favorite by a long shot. I found this episode off for a bunch of reasons, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably in the minority. Wes. I would never have thought that Wes was the character we haven't seen in a while. Yeah, that Wes from season 1 and 2, the wrestler who set the Heartland barn fire, etc. He's the guy who hauls off the beef grain and who was having a nice talk with Gracie when Nathan pulls up. Gracie. I don't know what to make of all her machinations this episode. I've put comments about her all through this review, but none good. I was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, but it's a thin string at this point. Caleb, Lindy, Nathan, Amy. I'm glad this is, as far as I know, Caleb's last episode. I'm tired of the whole thing, to be honest. I don't like that he's still mouthy to Nathan. You're done, dude, and she wants Nathan. Get over it. I certainly didn't like that Lindy hugs him and drags him off to his room, where apparently from this scene and the next, Nathan's whole relationship with Lindy revolves around Molly. It's time for Amy to tell Caleb to get a life. I don't care that she feels caught in the middle of her lover and her best friend. She needs to choose because neither is going away. Your husband, partner, is supposed to be your best friend. Everyone else should come second. Strider. Just a quick mention, I'm glad they won the roping competition and all is well on that front, but I'm tired that every high-end performance horse that Amy works with comes with an implicit threat by the owner as to Amy's reputation. These horses all have a problem that no one else could fix, and Amy is usually their last hope. Not everything that happens is her fault. Miley, Logan, Amy. It was nice that Logan had that short talk where he thanks Amy, but from what I can see, his self-esteem issue hasn't changed. His whole demeanor goes south when he hears that Miley bought a ranch. He really reminds me of someone I won't mention here. He needs to get over himself and realize that the world doesn't revolve around him. Jack and Dex. Okay, Jack still got hearing issues. I'm guessing that eventually this season he gets hurt or comes close to it because he doesn't hear something, and Lisa, wherever the hell she is this episode, drags him off to the doctor. I still don't think it's old age, but a medical condition they'll remedy. As for Dex, I think he will become an issue between River, who thinks he's hot on a bull, and Katie, who'll end up interested in Dex but thinks he's nuts. Only one other person on the show was stupid enough to get on a live bull. At least Dex did it for himself and not a girl he wanted to impress. Lou, Gracie, Amy, and Nathan. I'm glad Amy let Nathan know about her colic suspicions with Gracie, but not thrilled she told Lou. What was she thinking? And seeing Lou almost confront Gracie over the sponsorships was deja vu to what she did in season 18 to Price Beef. I'm tired of her emotions getting the better of her and putting everything above Amy's happiness. Katie, fast becoming a hero to me. I think she made the right choice keeping her commitment to the flag team. I love that River found a way for Katie to both represent the team and get her reading in. Amy and Nathan. I love the last scene and that he's there for her physically and emotionally. Seriously, he slid her gently off of Spartan for that hug. Awesome. Nathan's a rock as far as I'm concerned, and these two need each other. I'm not thrilled with Nathan off on his own to a rodeo either. It just brings in more drama they don't need. I didn't hate the episode, but as I've said, it was off to me, and one thing I'm happy about is that there's no break in season, which they probably put here just to drive me nuts in anticipation. The Jack and Dex story was classic Heartland in every way, but I don't mind it since it's something that just works so well. I'm really digging Dylan's energy. I think it's something that's been missing for a while from the show. He plays Dix as this new kid who is coming face to face with all these new things and can't wait to try them out. I know we had characters like Logan and Luke over the years, but they had different levels to them. Logan was more soft-spoken and shy in a way, and then Luke was more explosive and timid for a good reason, and they both were very likely to clam up whenever they came across with an obstacle, whereas Dex is like, okay, well, what's next? And it creates this exciting opportunity for the show to move forward in a way, and the storyline doesn't feel stuck. And that allows us to get to know the character better too, with, we only have 10 episodes and he isn't going to be in all of them. So his character really works for this kind of format, I would say. Not much to say about Jack, but I thought it was interesting that he was able to spot Dex from the chute that quickly, saying it was dark and he has problems with his hearing. But maybe it was the energy that he caught too. Like, wait a minute, is that Dex? Stephanie said, this episode was really enjoyable. I always love a rodeo storyline. It reminds me of the early seasons. These types of storylines are some of my favorites. This and the cattle drives. Some things that stood out to me. Katie's storyline. I'm enjoying seeing Katie and River's friendship develop along with her friendship with her other teammates. I love how supportive they are of her writing passion, like at the end of the episode when Katie did their flag routine at the rodeo, the girls came together to help Katie make it to her reading performance. I thought that was so nice of them. I'm loving seeing these girls lift each other up and encourage one another. A positive female friendship is so refreshing to see, especially at their age. I feel like that can be such a rare thing to show on TV. I totally saw coming Gracie wanting to sponsor the flag team as soon as Nathan brought up to her that they should have a more human connection be part of their beef brand. I had a feeling she would go after Miley or Katie's flag team. I was right on both. I think overall Lou handled that pretty well, and I'm proud of her for telling Katie to still go through with the performance and to keep her head up and still do her best despite holding a flag for the enemy, as Katie put it to Lou right before the performance. Jack and Dex. I don't have too much to say since their storyline didn't have a lot to it this time around. I do like this pairing though. It's very entertaining. Of course, Dex decided to ride the bull. He actually did pretty decent considering he's never done that before. Well, a real bull. Again, this episode is hinting at Jack losing his hearing. I wonder how this is going to play out. It's definitely getting worse. Caleb, Nathan, Amy storyline. I'll admit, when Caleb first showed up and had some sort of chip on his shoulder towards Nathan, I was a little taken aback and overall annoyed. I thought they resolved their issues or Caleb's issues with Nathan in the previous episode. However, I'm grateful they eventually came together for the team roping. I'm disappointed we didn't get to see Nathan and Amy compete together. I hope we get to see that one day. Amy and Nathan had a few sweet moments this episode as well. Him taking care of Amy when she got injured. I loved the moment at the hospital when Nathan was calming Lindy down and reassuring her that her mom was going to be okay. Also, giving her a job like getting snacks was a smart way to distract her. The conversation Amy and Nathan had regarding Gracie went better than expected. He was at first upset about what Amy was saying about his sister, which is understandable since Nathan wants to see the best in her and doesn't want to believe she could be capable of something so awful. However, I'm glad Amy and Nathan cleared the air before he left for the competition. He's taking what Amy said seriously, and Amy herself also acknowledges what she's suspecting Gracie of is pretty serious and doesn't want to go about this the wrong way. Also, Spartan seems to be fine. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad he's okay, but I sort of thought there was going to be more to that storyline. Logan and Miley. I never thought I would see Logan again. When I first saw him in the previews for this week's episode, I was a bit nervous about it, since last time we had seen him, he didn't exactly leave on the best terms with Miley and had a lot of growing up to do. I was so worried he was going to try and win her back and try to tell her how much he's changed, but clearly still needs to work through some things. However, I was pleasantly surprised by his storyline this episode. I actually feel like he matured and is clearly trying to learn from the mistakes he's made in the past, and he's trying to be better himself. I'm happy to learn he's making a name for himself in the horse business and seems to have a steady income. I liked the bit of closure we got between Logan and Miley, and they seem to be on better terms this time around compared to last time. Looking forward to next week's episode. I think the story with Katie was okay, nothing special in a way, but I understand it's a big moment for her character, and I'm happy it went well, and she was able to do her reading thing too. I continue to love the support the teammates have with one another, like, just really loving it. We've now had River say Dex is hot twice while riding bull. So after seeing that scene in this episode, I thought, sadly, maybe this idyllic friendship between River and Katie will not last for long. I'm not saying Katie necessarily feels drawn to Dex too, but I wonder, since they've gotten so close with River, if River goes after Dex and they start spending more time together as a couple, will it then make Katie feel like she's losing River as a friend? I know this sort of scenario is pretty common with teenagers, so I could see that happening. One thing to say about Lou. I was impressed how Lou continues to work on her attitude, especially when Katie came to her with her concerns and feelings around the sponsorship thing. I know there was a bit of a setback when Gracie was able to get under Lou's skin, and I am worried it might backfire again on Lou. But at the same time, maybe she's not barking up the wrong tree. And even though it was a bit irresponsible for her to just drop that "I know what you did" line on Gracie like that, I can see how Lou has a better chance of making Gracie rethink things rather than Amy, for example. Maybe Gracie will start to doubt if her plan with Wes, if that is what is happening, is worth it after all. But 2 steps forward, 1 step back for Lou. H.L. Horses said, "This was a good episode. I think it was a good choice to have the night rodeo for the 275th episode. Something different. I did like this episode better than I remember liking the 200th episode. I like Katie's storyline. She had a hard decision to make, and I was glad once she chose the Flag Girls, they in turn supported her in her writing. Like Lou giving her advice as well. It was nice to see Lou and working at Maggie's. Loved her outfit for the beginning portion of the episode. I thought the flag team stuff looked really cool and was shot really well. I thought it was wild the writing festival just randomly moved the reading on such short notice and expected Katie to accommodate. Don't have too much to say about the Dex and Jack stuff, except that I continue to like it and I knew Dex was going to get himself on a bowl somehow. I definitely never thought we would see Logan again, and once I saw him in the first look, I didn't know what to expect. But I actually enjoyed Logan and Miley's scenes, as it seems he's matured a lot. As for Nathan and Caleb, I thought they had mostly worked things out during the plane crash, so I was surprised when they were actually still fighting and not just good-natured ripping each other. It was a good idea to have them rope together, but I really want to see Amy and Nathan rope together. This is now the second time it hasn't happened. I'm glad we did get to see Nathan rope because I've been interested in his rodeo past since he first mentioned bull or bronc riding back in season 17. I do wish Caleb would get to know Nathan because what Nathan said is true. He really doesn't know Nathan. It seems Caleb is more the problem here, and Nathan is just giving the same attitude back to Caleb to defend himself. Loved seeing Nathan take care of Amy when she was injured. It was also nice to see the eyes has thawed between Lindy and Nathan. The hospital scene was cute. I did like seeing Amy and Nathan talk through the crazy thing, and Nathan taking into consideration what she said about having a blind spot and not blowing up at her. The ending scene was good too. I did like how Amy was considering how serious an accusation it was before discussing it. Looking back at the synopsis for this episode, I don't really feel like Amy risked everything. It was kind of anticlimactic. As for Crazy and the sponsorship thing, I think it's a smart business decision to sponsor the Flag Girls. I know the way she did it and probably the reasoning for it isn't the best from her, but just because Katie's in the team doesn't mean it's off limits. There's 10 other girls. Since this was a milestone episode, I wish Lisa was there. I mean, we know Jessica Steen was there for the fan day, and this episode is happening right after episode 5, so it would make sense she was there, or at least say where she is. She could have just been in the house and attend the rodeo. Didn't even need a storyline. I thought it was cute when Jack had Lindy riding piggyback. I thought it was hilarious when Caleb says, "Don't tell Tim I'm sleeping in his bed." Also, Nathan and Caleb doing the handshake and fist bump thing was funny too. Looking forward to the next episode. I don't mind Miley. I actually really liked her in the opening episode of the season, but she and Logan sort of felt like this separate story from the rest of the plot. They had their own thing going on. I don't know how many people needed to see that exactly, but it seems like this was some type of closure, and just like I hope Caleb's jealousy over Amy is now dealt with, I hope this is too. It is pretty funny that of all the things we wanted to see a closure from, this is one they offered to us. Okay. I just don't really care for this story, which is a shame because I think the actors themselves are okay in what they do, but there's just not the kind of pull that I think the writers expected there to be. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Tomorrow we have the 7th episode of this season air on CBC and stream on CBC Gem, so let's look into that. It's called Fall Down, Get Back Up. When Amy helps an old friend of Nathan's overcome his fear of riding a horse for his wedding day, she's caught wondering what the future holds for her. Meanwhile, Dex must prove himself to Jack. So tune in for that tomorrow, and we'll talk again next week. Until then, keep your noses clean and your powder dry, as they say. Bye.